Please go ahead and give a big standing ovation
check,
for
check.
the one and the only Shay Brown.
Thank you. High five. Thank you. Good job.
And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there. 'Cause all I do is
Whoa. Y'all are crazy. Well, it's a great day. That's okay. I don't have no music. Everyone sit down. Well, it's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, and I'm really excited today to be sharing with you the 90-day champion story. Now, how many of you, by a show of hands, just want to make more money by a show of hands? Right? Because you got in business really for two reasons only. One of the main reasons you got in business, what? To make what? And that's one reason. But for some of you, that's not the main reason. But that is one of the reasons. The other reason is that you wanted to have more meaning in the world. And you knew that you wanted all eyes on you while you were out there making a difference, changing lives, and making $1 at the same time. See, here's what I know, is you can make a difference and $1 at the same time. How many believe that by a show of hands? Absolutely. And that's really what your whole maybe life has been about. Maybe that's what it's been about making a meaning. And think for a moment, just for a moment, think about your ideal client, the person that believes in you. Think about the change that you want to make for them. Think about the difference that's going to be in their life. Think about the difference that it's going to be for them in their business, their relationship, their finances. How many folks in here want to help somebody by a show of hands? Right. So I'm with the right group at the right time, sharing the right message about the 90-day champion. And at the end of the day, that's really been the summation of my life. The summation of my life has been, how can I have more good in the world? How can I make a difference? And how can I, at the end of the day, make $1 at the exact same time? Now, I remember like it was just yesterday. My brother, Kwame, comes over to me. He says, I want to run for office. I'm going to do some good in the world. I said, what? Now, how many of you have siblings by a show of hands? And how many have siblings that come to you and say, I'm going to be the next Neil Armstrong, or I'm going to be the next Oprah Winfrey, or perhaps I'm going to be the next president of the United States of America. And they always have these big dreams and big goals. But here's what was different about my brother. He had set himself up in a way that he could actually go out there and do it. So maybe like you would do with your siblings. I said, okay, cool. What do you want me to do? I'm all in. Do you want me to watch the kids? You want me to watch the house? Want me to be your wingman? He says, no. I want you to run the campaign, and I want to win. I said, okay, let me get this right. This wasn't part of the plan, and maybe you've had family like that they actually invite you to the platform of their dreams, which is really pretty huge, So I said, okay, how does it work with a campaign? Like, how does that work? He says, look, there's 500,000 lives, 630,000 lives to be exact. And I want to be a voice, and I want to make a difference for them. So I want to help them have affordable housing or improve the schools. Or in his case, he always wanted to make sure there was fair wages out there. And I said, okay, well, how does it work? He says, well, here's how it works. It's very simple. There's going to be a budget. I said, well, how much is a budget? He says, about $2 million. I said, $2 million? What do you even do with $2 million? That's a lot of money. He says, well, you're going to have to hire some folks. There's going to be a payroll. Be about 100 people on the payroll. I said, 100 people. That's a lot. And then he says, oh, and by the way, remember, there's 500,000 lives that will be impacted. That's what the weight of this is worth. I said, okay. Still doesn't seem like a lot. He says, oh, by the way, there's 2,000 volunteers. I said, oh, 2,000 volunteers. Okay, let me get this right. Kwame. Let me get this right. Just so I'm clear, you are a black man with a dream. This is you. This is you. And you want to go impact 500,000 lives, 630,000 to be exact. Yeah, Shay, you got it. You're right on there. You're there. I said, okay. What's the budget going to be again? Shay, it's going to be, what, $2 million. And how many people are we going to need on the payroll? You're going to need 100 people on the payroll. Just so I'm clear. Just so I'm clear. And it's going to be how many volunteers? 2,000 volunteers. I'm like, whew. That's a lot. And so what I didn't know then, I had no idea when that took place, when I agreed to be the political advisor for my brother's campaign to go impact, talk about the weight of the world, 500,000 lives that are dependent on it. I had no idea that 14 years later, being an entrepreneur that I am now, 14 years later, that I would meet a man named Trevor Ott. And we would go on to start a company called Peak Performers Institute. And I had no idea that we would go on to become the #1 producers of African-American experts in the country. I had no idea back then, no idea that that one defining moment that I had agreed to do something, that it would change the course of my life. I had no idea that we would impact over 5,000 clients who now on average earn about $30,000 to $35,000 more every single year as a result of us helping them get to where they are. And I had no idea then, looking back, that we were going to create something called Black CEO that would really, not even it's our company, but it's really more about life work, right? That something would happen a year ago and that there would just be this movement that would take place and that there would be over 218,000 members that follow us across all of the platforms, and that we would be just like every single one of you sitting out there, that there was going to be a constituency out there that was going to be trusted in you. Some of you, it's 100 folks. Some of you have 1,000. Some of you have 10,000 or more folks that follow you all the time. And why is that? Because they want to make sure that you can help them have more meaning in their life, have more impact in their life. So it was just like you for where you are. And I had no idea that this was going to take place. None. Zero mendo. And that might be where you are as well as you're sitting there listening to me. And they're all saying one word. One word. The word that my brother told me was, I trust you. I trust you. So they trust you with their dream. They're trusting you to have more impact. They're trusting you to have more meaning in the world. And when you think through that for a moment, that's a really heavy responsibility. But here's what we know. We know that you're up for the challenge. How many are up for the challenge to change someone's life? Good. How many are going to hang in there no matter what happens to change someone's life? Good. Then I'm with the right folks. But you understand, you've been there. And so there we are. We're running this campaign. And my business is still going on. Looking back 14 years later, I didn't know this. Life is good on top of the world. Now, think about when you've been on top of the world. Some of you are still on top of the world. You're on top of the world. You have the house, have the car, had the boat, big boat. Kenya's not here. She's got a big boat. Big boat. Life is cool cruising down the waters. And at the same time, by then, we had not one campaign with 500,000 people, not two, but three. Need to go on to be the chairman of the Washington, D.C., which is larger than like 5 states, probably one of the largest states in North America, by the way. Pretty huge deal. I'm okay. Life is good. But how many have ever been there when life is good and you think it can't get any better? It just can't possibly get any better. And then there's a knock at the door. The boom moment. And maybe you've had that boom moment. In my case, there's a knock at the door. And then it's the FBI. And they're there with a subpoena. Now, I don't even have to mention really, truly their initials. You say FBI, you say subpoena, you say boys in blue. That's enough, right? There's not much more to talk about. That's a pretty serious moment. That's not that much more to talk about. So you open the door. They don't even come in. They're real nice folks. And when you look up the word subpoena, for those folks that don't know what subpoena is, a subpoena basically is a request for information. That's what it says. But it's not really a request, not when it's from the FBI. It basically means that you've got to give them everything you have, all of your files, all your financial records. And here's what's really interesting. They already got it anyway. No, seriously. I'm just letting you know. Just if that ever happens, you hope that you won't go through that. But they have it all anyway. But here's what makes it interesting. They come in, and then all the details aren't really all that relevant. I go and I talk to some attorneys. We sit down. They say everything's fine. Don't worry about it. We got this. Everything's cool. No problems at all. No problems at all. So I'm thinking to myself, cool. This is okay. I can handle this. But how many folks know by show of hands it wasn't okay, right? And how many have told yourself at one point, no problems. We crossed all our I's, but they were finding some I's that weren't dotted, some T's that weren't crossed, and there was additional questions that took place. And then there was that one defining moment. And the defining moment, after everything takes place, you find yourself in a place where you're actually in a courtroom. Now, I'm not sure if you ever been in a courtroom, but think about a defining moment where everything is going just fine in your life. And maybe this has happened to you, where all of a sudden there's this moment where you are shattered. Your belief systems shattered at what you're doing, and you think, you know what, the bottom has just fallen out. It can't possibly get any worse. Maybe that's not your story, and maybe for some of you it is. Maybe it's the story of maybe you went and you used all the money, and you said, wow, how did I find myself in bankruptcy? Or maybe it's the call I made to my mom once upon a time and said, hey, I just got someone pregnant, right? And that's a defining, shattering moment when your floor has fallen out from underneath you. Or maybe it's the relationship with a family member that didn't go the way you wanted, and you're not speaking to each other. And you say, wow, like, how did I get myself here? A very, very serious moment. So we're there. And I recall being there just like yesterday, and as I'm there, I'm looking over, and inside the courtroom while I'm there, over to my right is like my mom, the one that really believes, my mom, the one that used to sit down and we were at the table and say, how'd your day go? Did everything go okay? The one that says, you know what, I'm praying it's going to be okay. But here we are now in a defining moment in a courtroom where all of our belief systems and all of our faith were not quite sure, at least if it's really working. You're not really sure. How many have been in a moment where you're just not sure? That defining moment where you're sitting there and you say, you know what, will I ever be able to rebound from this? Will I ever be able to move myself from this spot here where the floor has gone and fallen from underneath me and move it somewhere else? And then I look over a little bit to my dad. My dad's there, by the way. My dad's a rock. We just look at each other, give us the old, like, but everything in his eyes, when I looked, told me it was not okay. We gave the nod. That's what we do, my dad and I. Dad doesn't say a whole lot when he's talking to us, but no. But it just went okay. And all my other family members and people that cared the very, very most are right there. And so in that moment when you're there, the kind of question is, what kind of goes through your mind? And I know through my mind, and maybe this has gone through your mind, is how did I get myself, what? Here. That's right, how did I get myself here? Have you ever asked yourself that question, how did I get myself here? Like, how did I find myself in this relationship that's been going on longer than it should? How did I get myself here? Like, how did I get myself here? I mean, this is a very serious moment, but I'm just saying, or in my case, and that might not be your story, where I've gone through one credit card and then another credit card, then another credit card, and then I applied and got another one, and I've run through it all. Maybe that's it, or maybe when you finally got the pink slip and they gave you a box and said, here's all your stuff. Like, sorry, you've been great, but this is it. I mean, that is a defining moment. But I recall just like it was yesterday, because it was the day before my birthday. It was actually December 13th, 2012. And I'm standing there. And there's someone right there who's going to decide what goes on. And I'm looking, and I hear this. Shay Brown, I hereby sentence you to 90 days in federal prison. I'm thinking, what? 90 days? It's going through my mind. I'm thinking, this can't be happening. 90 days in a federal prison? Okay, not the dream maker. Not the guy that says it's a great day. This cannot be going on. It just can't be happening. And then I recall looking back to my right, and there was Mother there. as I'm looking over at Mother Dear was like crying and breaking down because no mom should ever see their son sentenced to federal prison. This was like her worst nightmare. And this is Mother Dear, the praying mother. And I'm looking at her, and everything inside of me, I was shaking. But I know my attorney said, no matter what, you're going home today. But I'm looking at Mom, and I got to be cool, right? It's fine. Mom, fine. She looked at me, fine. Like, that's the look you got to give, Mom. Fine. No big deal, no big deal. And I myself, I'm like, shit. But I couldn't, you can't do that when you're there. Not when your family, everybody's behind you. You really can't you can't do that. It's like against the code. You cannot do that. So I look back over at Dad, and Dad is just right to the right. And he still has that same firm look, that same nod in his head. And you're like, okay. And then to my left was my sister, who always looked up to me and believed in me, and maybe had family members you believe with me, and here I am in the worst possible case. And just when I thought the floor couldn't fall any further, there it was, federal prison, 90 days. Now, 90 days doesn't sound like a lot of time. It really doesn't, unless you're the one that got to do it. Trust me. If you're the one got to do it, it's a lot of time. See, you agree with me. Thank you. Jesus, mercy, Jesus. I'm thinking to myself, it's a lot of time unless you got to do it. I mean, some people will get it for, like, traffic violations. I get it. But, yeah, it'll be all right. Yeah, 90 days, it'll be all right. I'm going to just leave out of here, and it's going to be okay, right? And so the marshals come get you. That's what happens when you're in court. They come get you, and so they walk you. You got to do it. Now, here's what's interesting about federal prison. They give you 45 days to go, like, check yourself in. So you got 45 days. So I'm thinking, I've never been to federal prison. So what's the first thing you do, right? You go home. After all the phone calls, they're ringing and ringing. It's like, I just can't do it. So then you go to the computer, and I start looking up, what do you do when you go to federal prison? Because I'd never been there. No, it's a very serious moment. Like, seriously, it's a very serious moment. I'm looking here, and I'm saying, okay, this is what you do, this is what you not do. And then I started watching videos. Now, in federal prison, no, seriously, I watched this video. Have you ever heard in federal prison they say what? Don't drop the what? Shit. This is supposed to be a serious moment, Andy, a very serious moment. Get him out of here. Well, that is the video. In all seriousness, that's the video I was watching. Don't drop this, because what do I do? And I kid you not. I mean, what do you do? I mean, think about it. This is a very defining moment, right? And so I went out, and I ended up taking self-defense classes. I went back to Trevor and said, Trevor, I'm paying this guy $175 an hour, meeting with him 4 days a week, because if it's going down, what? I'm going to be ready, right? So seriously, it was self-defense classes. You can take those things. 4 days of working out with a guy. So I don't know what to do. Seriously, this is a very serious moment. Seriously. I'm just telling you what happens in those situations. So what do I do? Right? So because you have to prepare yourself. You literally have to be ready mentally, but more so physically. So I paid a lot of money, and I should. You got to pay the price. Now, why was I sentenced to 90 days in prison? Sentenced to 9 days in prison for lying on my mortgage application. And I have to accept responsibility for that. It was a choice. It was a decision. So when you make a decision, you have to own up to the responsibility. And you got to pay the price. I didn't know that then, because back then I was mad. But sitting there, it was a very serious situation. No, seriously, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. When it came time to file the papers for my taxes as an entrepreneur, according to the law, I wrote off every dime I'm capable of writing off. So to the IRS, I'm a pauper. I make a little bit of money. I can survive. I can eat. It's okay. But the problem is when I went over to get a reduction on my mortgage, they reduced it a few interest points, then I was a six-figure earner. Actually, here's exactly how much money I make. It's all in my bank account. And here's the teachable lesson that I want to share with you now, is that you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. And so you can't stretch it when it works for you, but then try to stretch it the other way when it doesn't. And you do have to accept responsibility for that. And so that's what happened. All the other details just kind of happened. And so now I've got 45 days. And 45 days before you go in, It's like planning for a funeral. If you've never done it, no, seriously, it really is, because I'm going down and I'm filling out power of attorneys. Now, my affairs weren't in order. I know all y'all affairs are in order. Don't worry about it. This is not a check with you. It's not. My affairs were in order. So now I'm trying to make sure the insurance is in order, the house is in order, because I'm signing over power of attorney to my family members just in case. Now, I was taking self-defense classes, right? So I figured I'm going to be ready. If it's going down, I'm swinging first, because one of the things they teach you in self-defense is you go first. No, seriously. When your parents go and they say, whatever goes, don't think about it. Go. It's only going to be a short time. I can hang for about 2 minutes, right? That's what I was telling myself. 2 minutes, this thing going to be over. But I'm still signing all these papers away. I'm giving out all my passwords to my family, because all that stuff got to be done. It really does. And then it kind of happens, right? It's that day. And I remember that day because my mom wanted to go with me to the federal prison, because you got to drive down there. So I'm pleading with Mother Dear, this is not going to happen. One of the first times we really fought. We fought a lot of times, but this is one of those I was just like, it's not happening, Mom, it's not happening. So I arrived there. My uncle and my dad were driving me down there. And so when I arrived there, my mom's there, and she's crying because she wants to go, and she only lives 5 minutes from my house. So it wasn't like she wasn't going to show up. Matter of fact, I got there early thinking we would leave, and she was already there, right? She was in the house. You didn't think I was going to miss this, did you? So that emotion, that just broke me down, because my dad, I was cool. My mom, that's just a whole nother thing, because she's hugging and kissing and praying and kissing, and just a lot going on. So we get in the car, and we take this drive. And it's one of those gut-wrenching drives, right? Because you're going to the federal prison. And I don't know if you know how it works, at least where I went. They kind of bring you there. They got to drop you off, and it's like this long, literally walk. And when they get you out the car, I hug my dad. I hug my uncle, give him the old boom, boom, boom. Back then, they didn't have that thing you can do. They would just boom, boom, boom. Give him that hug. And I started taking the walk. Now, how many have ever just know that when you take a walk sometime, there's some things you got to do and you got to go alone? You ever found yourself in that situation where no matter who was praying for you, no matter who believed in you, it was something that only you could do, like you had to do it what? Alone. And maybe it was after the marriage and then going down and signing the divorce papers. Maybe it was waiting for the doctor to give you the call. Maybe it was to hear about what's going on with a family member. Whatever that doing it alone is for you, you find yourself in that moment. And one of the things I told myself was that going in, I knew one thing for sure. Coming out, I was going to be different. I knew that. And so I get in there, and while you're in prison, I get a lot of time to really think and reflect. And it's like a gut-wrenching type of moment when you're there. And I started thinking while I was there first of, what happens to the business? Like, who's going to do business when you leave? Because my friends and family were saying, Shay, you got to think what you're going to do when you come out, because you can't do what you were doing. And I said, okay. And then you start thinking how your friends are going to react, and your loved ones and folks that you know care the most about you, but all that stuff is kind of running through your mind. And then when I was sitting there, I recall telling myself, you know what? I can change the situation, and I can just focus on myself, right? So I have plenty of time. Focus on my mindset, focus on sales, focus on family, focus on relationships, because you got time. You have nothing but time to think. And it wasn't a situation where I was going to a mountaintop somewhere. I know like T.I. says it's just a vacation, or Gucci Man, they call it just a vacation. This was serious stuff, right? This was not a vacation. That's what they say. I don't know if you know that. They really say it when they're rapping. Some of y'all don't know about that yet, but when they're rapping, that's what they say. It's just a vacation. But that wasn't the case, right? That wasn't the case. And while I was in there, one of the things I learned, because in sales, they always say the biggest sale you got to make is to yourself, right? But what I learned, something a little bit different, that the biggest sale I ever made was while I was sitting in one. And that's a total different perspective. And so the day came. Family got to leave out. Good day. And I thought about all the worst case possible scenarios that could happen. And there was a lot of worst case scenarios. And some of them became true. The perception was true. I called some of my friends. I said, hey, what's going on? Hey, Shay, I kind of heard, going to have to distance myself a little while. Let some things go by. That's cool. No worries, no worries. Or I talk to other folks, say, my business can't quite be associated with this, right? Because of your situation, which I understood. I mean, you got to pay a penalty. There's a penalty that you pay. And my perception got more and more real. And it's probably just me because every time I had that conversation, it just kind of like backs you into a corner. You're like, it's real. It's real. Especially when they call you to tell you they heard and they what? Googled you, right? Because, it's on the front page. You can't miss that thing. And I recall thinking that there were some options I had, right? One option is, at that time, is that I could either keep on going or I could pause. Now, how many have been in that position? We had to make a decision. Was I going to take a step forward or was I going to take a step back, right? There's that chance. There's that time. And some of it started kind of encourage me, but what really kept me going, folks don't know this. I've never shared this. What really kept me going was only one person. And that one person was Mother Dear, right? That one person was Mother Dear. And why was it Mother Dear? Because Mother Dear was so proud of what we were doing. And I remember sitting when I came out, got to go hang out with Mom because it was the first place you're going. Mother, right? She's going to cook a meal, right? You got to have a meal. And that's just, wasn't hungry, but, I knew exactly what was happening. I was not going home. Wasn't doing this. You're coming to my house, so we're going to talk, and I'm going to fix your favorite meal. Well, she did. My favorite meal is chicken. I love that with the stir fry. Couldn't wait to get back to Mom's meal, right? Just couldn't. She even had apple pie. I eat apple pie, by the way. Love apple pie. And it was there waiting for me. The whole pie. This is yours. You're going to take this home. And this is for what? Everybody else, right? Because you're going to take this home with you. You're going to thank me. You're going to want this later. I couldn't wait to get it for you. So I'm sitting there, and I remember talking to her, and I remember telling her, look, I made a promise to her. And I said, Mom, one day, things will be a little different. I said, really? Yeah. One thing, days going to be different tomorrow than they are today. And the promise I make to you is that you'll be proud one day. The promise I make is that before you call home to glory, my promise is you'll get a chance to see it. You'll get a chance to witness. That was the promise that I made to my mom. So while folks were Googling me, and let me tell you, there was some times when I first came out, and I get an opportunity. Some people still let us speak on their stage. They still let us show up. And when I was talking, every time someone picked up their phone, I was thinking in my mind, they're Googling me. They're Googling me. But I couldn't stop. You can't stop. Because I was thinking, I made this promise to Mom. And I made a decision that I could still help people. Now, I didn't know now what I know then, that was going to be a defining moment, but I knew for certain that I still had the same skill set helping in their business. I had the same skill set for their mindset, and if they gave me a chance, I knew we could make it happen. I just knew we could do that. And so that was the rocket fuel that allowed me to keep on at least putting one foot in front of the other foot, in front of the other foot. And I recall someone said that it's not what happens. 90%. 10% of what happens to you, don't worry about that. It's the 90% is how you what? Respond. And I understood that failure is not an event. It's just kind of where you what? Doesn't define who you are. So I had a choice. One choice is I could let the event define me, or I could what? Define it. I could either be a what? Victim, or I could be what? A victor. And in my neighborhood, they say when you're going through hell, you keep what? You keep going. It felt like hell. Trust me. So you keep putting one foot in front of the other foot, in front of the other foot, in front of the other foot. And that was the promise that I made to my mom. And what I learned as things started turning around, now I didn't know this now, but looking back, what I learned was when I was sitting there and I was back where I was at the time, I started wondering, who else has maybe had a boom in their life that's taking place? And when I was doing the research, and I got to read Malcolm X again. And I remember, Malcolm X had a boom, in his life, right? And when Malcolm X had that boom in his life, he could still go out and use his skills to make a change of social conscience. And then I started thinking about Don King. And Don King had a what in his life, do you think? A boom. That's right, a boom in his life. But he still decided to go out and make a change and become one of the greatest promoters. And even Martha Stewart, she had a what in her life? Boom. That's right. She's had a boom in her life. And some of you have had some booms in your life. Some of you had some of those defining moments that's taken you to where you are, that's made it very, very difficult for you to turn around. But here's what I want you to know. Here's what I want you to know. Even if you had one of those defining moments and you've been as low as you could possibly go, what I do want you to know is this. You can still what? You can still turn it around. And that was one of the challenges, one of the things that I made to my mom. So failure is an event. It's not who you are. And what I want to challenge you is to do this. Jot this in your notes. You can't write a new chapter if you keep rereading the old chapter. Yeah, put it in your notes. Put it in your notes that your past doesn't represent your future. The past is just what the past is. Did you have an opportunity to create a new life no matter where you are right now? And when you think through it, 90 days from where you are now on where you can be, then you can have that new chapter in your life. That is possible. That can happen for you just like it happened for me. And the reason I really share this message with you, the reason I really share the message is that I learned that the message is not for me, but it's to set someone else free. The message is that there's some folks that in their mind, whether it's their health situation, whether it's I'm not tall enough, I'm not short enough, I'm not fat enough, I'm not skinny enough, I don't have the right tools, I don't have the right resources. Whatever that prison is for them, they're still there. And so by sharing this message, my hope is that it will change where they are to where they need to be as well. And I know that. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share the message, because my belief is that in 90 days that you can change your life. In 90 days, you can turn around, no matter how low it's been. I recall one last time that when I was at the lowest, and I was still in prison. And I recall making the one phone call. And I'm there, and you're there to get one call, and I had to pick up the phone, and the phone was very, very heavy because I was making a call, and I'm like, hello, son? Hey, Dad, how's it going? Yeah, this is your old man. I know I told you I'd be there for your graduation day. I know I promised you I'd be there no matter what, but your old man's locked up. I'm not going to make it. Now that is a low moment. No parent should miss their child's college graduation. And I remember sitting there. But here's what I do know, is that your past doesn't what? Represent your future. Here's what I do know, that there is a better tomorrow, right? What I do know is that Willie Jolly, who I love dearly, says a setback is what? A setup for what? A comeback. And the comeback is not for you. The comeback is not for you. The comeback is for someone else. The comeback is for the person out there that believes that they can be much better than they are today. That's the comeback. That's why I share the message, to set someone else free, to make a difference for someone else. That's why I do it. So for those folks that are out there and they're listening and you're like, you know what? I believe I'm a champion. I believe that in 90 days, which is the time I had, that in 90 days that you can become a champion. I wanted to share a gift, no cost. But it's my gift for the person that right now is feeling that they're having a defining moment, that right now the bottom is falling out, or they know the best is yet to come, or they believe that they're called to make a change for someone else, or they want to make $1 and a difference at the same time, or their time has come. So here's what you would do. You would text the word champion. Text the word champion. What word would you text? Text the word champion. And you text the word champion to 202-999-3515. Let me get that number to you again. 202-999-3515. And when you text the word champion, it's going to take you to a place where you can get a private gift directly from me, to help you no matter where you're at, because that's my gift. That's the promise I made to Mother Dear. That's the promise I made to myself to help other folks achieve everything they want. And how long does it really take? 90 days. In 90 days, they can become a champion. In the 90 days, so if you were to take your calendar out right now and you would look at it, and you look at today's date, and you go 90 days from now. 90 days from now. So you look at today's date, and you say, you know what? In 90 days, I can be a champion. So think about it. 90 days from now, you can lose the weight that you want to lose. You can be a champion. How long does it take? That's right, 90 days. So here's what I do. In 90 days, no matter what your income is, so I'll say, and how long? You say 90 days. Can you do that? Okay. And then you just say champion. You don't have to do anything over here. Y'all just sit back and just say champion. Y'all have the easy part. So in 90 days, you can literally look at your bank account, and you can take your bank account from where it is to where you want to go. And how long? And you can be a what? That's right. In 90 days, no matter what you've been trying to do with your social media, trying to get it together, trying to make sure the marketing is reaching the right audience, in 90 days, how long? You can become a what? Right. So in 90 days, for some of you walked in here and you were looking at your debt. You were looking at your financial situation. You were looking at your relationship. You're looking at the people that you trust and how you want to become a better person and give more meaning. But in 90 days, now you look at your calendar in 90 days. And how long? You can become a what? That's right. I believe that in 90 days that you can become a champion. I believe in 90 days you can accomplish everything and anything you want. And one of the things my good business partner, Trevor Otts, reminds me on a consistent basis, every now and then when I slip back, my business partner, Trevor Otts, always says to me, Shay Brown, when they remind you of your past, you remind them of what? Your future. That's right. Because the past is back there, right? And the best is still what? Yet to come. Because in how long? You can become a what? And how long? You can become a what? And how long? You can become a what? Champion. That's right. In 90 days, you can become a champion. And one of the things I promised my mom is that my ability to see my future will not be held back by what? My past, right? That was the promise that I made to Mother Dear, the promise I make to anyone that's out there. And so the lesson that I learned is that I'm not here so much to help you make sales, although that's what we do. I'm here to help those folks that believe that the best is yet to come. I'm here to let those folks know that have a scar on your record. And maybe that scar is something that you're not proud about. Maybe that scar is something that you would not want anyone ever to find, that you don't want to be on a mountaintop shopping about it, but it exists for you that's in your past. I'm here to let you know that in 90 days, you can become a what? And how long? You can become a what? How long? 90? You can become a what? That's right. In 90 days, you can become a champion. That's the lesson I learned, that you still have a rise in you and that the best is yet to come. And that's the promise I made to Mother Dear. So if you're a champion and you're ready to be there, this is your time. You can go to 202-999-3515, and there's only one person. Because in how long did I say it takes? You can come a what? How long? You can come a what? Right. This message is for you to believe that you can become a champion, because in 90 days you can become a what? That's right. That's the promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win.
Yeah.
Thank you. God bless.
Fantastic. Man, I'm scared to even get on the stage right now, Shay. I'm going to let you hold that stage, man. I don't even want to step up there because you did something really special. First of all, let's give it up again for Shay Brown.
Woo, woo! Yes,
Thank you.
You know, Shay, there's not enough words to really explain, man. I've seen your journey, and I know it takes a great deal of courage to step up on the stage and tell your story. And I believe by doing so that things are about to go to an entirely different level for you.
Woo!
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And I could just tell by looking around in the room that everyone in here got to be part of something very special. And I can tell you right now, being your fraternity brother, having spoken to you so many times, that I feel a greater connection to you right now than ever before. And I think that I probably speak on behalf of everybody in this room because of the fact that you shared from a place of vulnerability. You know, Brene Brown talks about the power of vulnerability, man. So you're a powerful brother, man.
Thank you.
I want to tell you that. So my question, I was just sort of wondering right now, because, you know, we're here at the Black CEO event. And there are so many people who right now have something that they're hoping to make happen in their business. And you talked about this idea of 90 days. And I appreciate the fact that you got on the stage and you chose to really just share your story. But my question is, for the person who is sitting in the audience right now, who is in a place in their business and they're just trying to figure out, like, what is it that they can do in those 90 days, who are very much aware of the fact that they've tried to do it on their own and they've probably been spinning their wheels. What does it look like, because you didn't share it, but what would it look like for them to enter a 90-day champion program? What would it look like for you to be able to help them with their business, to help them to possibly make a makeover in their business? What would that look like? Because what I don't want is, we have to be mindful sometimes. Because what we'll do is we'll sort of inspire people and touch them, but really ultimately 90 days from now, you don't want to just say that that was a powerful, touching story. You want to be able to produce results. Yes or yes? Yes. Right? And so I know that there's some people out here who are already part of your assignment, but I believe that there's some people who are either watching online, who are sitting here right now, who say, oh my gosh, Shay, thank you for sharing that. And I believe that in spite of the scar on my record, the way that you put it, in spite of what's happening in my life right now, what's happening in my business, I believe that I can make something happen in 90 days, but I need some help. What would that look like? Tell us a little bit about what that journey would look like, or what the makeover program, or what we could do to just learn a little more about that.
Sure. So, so there's a couple things you can do. One, for those folks that are out there that are saying, you know, it's time for me to get my business together, and you've got this 90-day window that you're looking at right now, there's a couple things. The first thing you can do is you can send a text, and I'll tell them what it looks like. Let me tell you what it looks like. For some folks, maybe it looks like making over their brand. Maybe for some folks, it looks like making over their marketing. For other folks, it's about making over their sales. But all that really doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's all cool stuff. At the end of the day, you're like, you know what? I need a win. That's what my brother always says. I need a win. And you need to trust someone to get you there. The cool thing about Peak Performance Institute is that while people come to us because of our skill set and ability to help automate their business and help give them a platform and all that, Andy, the reason they stay with us is because of our character, right? We don't always get it right, you know, but they got to keep going. And so if you want someone that's going to be with you and you want to trust them to get the win, and yeah, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's branding, I get all that. The first step they can do is just make a text and have a conversation, because it might not be for everybody. Just because of where they are, we might not be the right organization for them. So if you're out there, you know, I got to make over my business, I got to make over my marketing, here's what you can do. You can send a text to 202-270-1662. Again, 202-270-1662. And you're going to just text the word makeover. Now, that looks like you coming in. I mean, text the word makeover, text your first name, text your last name, text your, your email. And then once you do that, you can have a conversation where you can come in maybe for 3 days. So it's not gonna take 90 days. You get 3 days, 72 hours. And imagine for a moment that they close the door and you get to work on your business for 72 hours straight. And you're not taking phone calls, that's left outside. You're not worried about what's going on at home, that's left outside. And then when you leave there, not only do you have a brand that represents you and who you are, but you also have an infrastructure, because at the end of the day, you want to work less so you can spend more time with your family. And if that's your time, just text the word makeover to 202-270-1662 and just have a conversation. And let's see where it starts. If that's a good fit, great. And if not, no big deal, Andy. No, seriously, no big
So,
deal.
Shay, let me ask you a question. Do you recognize this young man right here?
Yeah, of course, Dr. Calvin Wiley.
Okay, excellent. Well, you know, he just wanted in this moment to just sort of share what his experience has been like being a makeover student. So I thought it'd be wonderful if some people had the opportunity to sort of hear from him. Because it's one thing we hear from you. We do love you, Shay. All right, we love you. We really do. Let's give it up for Shay.
Where'd you get this from? It's good.
We love you.
Good.
I mean, we love you. But how many of you know that, you know, sometimes it's sort of cool when you get to hear from somebody else, right, that's sort of been through the process. So I'm going to hand you the mic, and I would just love to hear about what your experience is. Like, what were the challenges that you were having? And then when you came into the makeover program, what did you experience, and what transformation are you gaining right now?
Well, Lord, everybody, my name is Dr. Calvin J. Wiley. Can you just say this with me? Word becomes flesh.
Word becomes flesh.
One more time. Word becomes flesh.
Word becomes flesh.
None of these gentlemen knew who I was just a week and a half ago. And I'm actually brand new into this process, into this program. And this was impromptu. I actually went up and asked Dr. Trevor Otts there, can I just give my testimony because I hear what the question was. And so I am a medical doctor, been practicing for 17 years. I don't even like black people. I went to an all-white college, all-white high school. The only black people I knew were the 15 children in my family, brothers and sisters in my family, and I wanted to get away from them, as you heard Dr. Frazier say. I left them in 1987, went away to college, and medical school and being a physician are mainly all white people, and I work all white people. And so when I started typing in, my word last year was I was going to do something big in 2018. I was going to launch a new company. It was going to be big. And I went online and started looking for people. I spoke that word out, and then I saw CEO. CEO, wow, great. But then I saw this little thing, it said black. I said, and then I started looking at Trevor Otts. I looked him up, and I said, all right, he sounds good. But then he started talking about this black stuff and black business. And I was like, oh, man. But then it connected. The word says, your word is becoming flesh. And when I made the phone call, my spirit said, their word has just assigned with your word. I've entered into their lives, and they entered into my life. What I attempted to do 3 years ago and launch a physician advantage network 3 years ago, which just flopped because I didn't have the team, in less than an hour, and you can go back and listen to our first initial, they call it the
Listening session.
Listening
sessions do take place.
In less than an hour, Trevor Otts, Shay Brown, and E.R. Spalding was on the phone call. I re-listened to the call. Something amazing happened. They took my word and they brought it to life. And you can hear the transformation on the phone call. Trevor Otts heard what I was saying, and then immediately he brought it to life. This doesn't happen because of the algorithm. They have incredible algorithms, and you can type things on Facebook. I found them because I spoke them, and then they spoke me into existence. And that's why you'll see that one of the best launches ever, Physician Advantage Network, will come out in the 90-day period of time because word becomes flesh. Say it with me again, word becomes flesh.
Word becomes flesh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc.
Man, Shay, I tell you this. I hate to keep you up there, man, but hey, man, sometimes when you do your thing on the stage,
I've been
man,
here before, yes.
When you do your thing on the stage, like I can't even step up here right now, man. So just to let you know that.
Andy's a good Kappa man.
So excellent. Let's give it up for the gentleman just shared his experience there. And so let me tell you, it's really cool to hear from the men, but sometimes you want to hear from the ladies. Yes, ladies, yes or yes? And so, Shay, I've got somebody else that She's going to just stand right over here and just talk from the heart about what her experience has been like. As many of you guys know, this is one of our sponsors for our event. You guys who are in the VIP sessions that were eating good and having some drinks, and some of y'all had a little too much drink, but we're not going to say none, right? This was one of the sponsors that actually sponsored 100 people here. So let's give it up for her one more time. Let's give it up for Jennifer. Fantastic. And so you'll see her banner right there, Purse Power. And so you have an opportunity to talk to her about Purse Power Network if you haven't already done so. But I'm going to allow her to just share her experience real quick.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer Harris, Raleigh, North Carolina. Shay, thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Because I've never heard you speak like that, and that was very powerful. I was referred to Shay and Trevor. I was telling someone, well, them in the room, last July. And I never got a chance to meet them physically until they came to Raleigh. Now, they came to Raleigh during, Black Homecoming weekend, so it was only like 2 of us in the room. However, that was my defining moment when Shay and Trevor came, and I got a chance to meet them for the very first time. So I have all these ideas in my head and all of these things that I was doing. And in 2 hours, Shay just sat down and just talked with me for 2 hours, okay? I hadn't invested a dime yet, okay? Anytime somebody has a heart space like that, to spend 2 hours, that they can easily, invest $2,000 per hour for their time, I had to take it seriously. Let me tell you about Trevor Otts. He flew from Raleigh to another state, then came back to Raleigh. So I showed Shay a sketch of something that I was working on, and so he texted to Trevor, and Trevor says, "Tell her, don't move, don't leave." And I wasn't going anywhere, right? So then Trevor comes in, and he totally just everything that was in my head, for 2 hours, he sketched it out. Now you see Purse Power Network, okay? I was telling them thank you.
Purse Power Network.
So I was telling them last night that I have different coaches. I have 2 coaches. They're both white men. And I don't take that lightly because I've never had a black coach besides my dad. So when Trevor actually came into my life, that's the first black man since my dad who took me on as a mentor, mentee, to mentor me and also to coach me. So when I say life-changing, I'm telling you, the makeover, Ruben, I've been able to connect with Ruben just last month. I feel like we've been knowing him, for years. He's my brother. Between Candace and Dr. Stephanie and all of them and the whole entire makeover. Now, if you've ever seen Extreme Home Makeover, this business makeover is like on a totally different level, but it's for your business. So thank you, Shay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. And thank you, Black CEO.
Fantastic. So, Shay, man, I know you saying, Andy, when you going to let me off the stage? So what I want you to do is bend your knees, let them circulate, right? I want you passing out up there. But I'm going to have the audience help me bring up this next person that wants to share their experience of having worked with Shay and Trevor. I'm going to kick it off, and I know y'all just go pick right up. And then I'm going to hand him the mic. So we going to do this together. Jerry, 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 Jerry.
Y'all are so funny. This is crazy. I'm going to try to keep it together while I'm up here.
You be all right.
365 days ago was the first black CEO. I had no idea who Shay Brown was. I never heard of Trevor Otts. The only reason why I showed up is because 3 of my friends were speaking. Jonathan Sprinkles is someone I've known since 2010. Darnielle Jersey, we went to college together. And Myron, I've known since around 2002, 2003. So 3 people I knew from the speaking industry were going to be there. It was only 2 hours from my house. I'm like, what? Let me go down there, just drive. I don't even know what this black CEO thing is about. Sounds pretty cool. Black people, CEOs, all coming together. This is going to be hype. So I drove down. I met Shay for the first time. I got there early. I was there like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you were.
Because Willie Jolly was going to be there. George Fraser was going to be there. And it was free. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get a front row seat. I don't want, it's free. Like, people just all show up. So I was like sitting in the front row for 2 days. No expectations. I didn't know these guys from Adam or Eve. Here it is a year later. I'm one of the featured speakers at the event. I went from sitting in the front row to being on the stage. From the front row to on the stage. It's only because of this special gift. Trevor has a special gift. I cannot put it into words. I don't know how to describe it. It's something special about him, something special about Shay. Shay said, man, I just want to talk to you for a second. I'm like, oh, sure, let's have a conversation. She called me into the room, say, man, you want to be part of the team? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even know you like that. How you know? I thought someone told like this. Someone, you like Google me or something? Like, you look at Yahoo? How do you know who I am? Like, what do you know? Because most people don't know. I was speaking to college kids. See, I fell out of college. When I was studying in college, they don't give you a degree for. My major was the nocturnal habits of the African American youth. I'm just telling you what it was. That's what I studied. And I specialized in the female gender. That was my specialty. So that's what I did. That's what my focus was. Now, if they had a program in that, I would have a PhD. But they don't give you grades for parties and how many dates you can get. They don't give you grades for that. So while it was time to go to class, sometimes I was like, I need to take a nap. So you can't be taking naps in class time and get good grades. So eventually, the university sent me a letter that said, don't come back.
That's so funny.
They were like, your money's no longer good here. We accept your check, but your grades don't match up, so we don't even need your spot. So at that point, I had to learn how to become an entrepreneur. So when I was 20 years old, when I made a decision that I had to do something else. So for 13 years, I was speaking, training, and I was speaking to college kids to help them make better decisions. I wrote a book called What I Wish I Knew When I Was in College, What I Wish I Knew When I Was in High School, so they wouldn't have to make the mistakes. Like Shay talked about turning your mess into a story for someone else, they can make different choices. So when I got with these guys, I had already spoken to about 50,000, 60,000 people. But in the last year, I've spoken to over 300,000. I've spoken to over 300,000 people in less than 12 months because of their system of the automation. I was at the Womenpreneur event as one of the featured speakers. That event got over 120,000 hits online. This event will way be over 200. So it's been an amazing journey. I love both of you guys. I'm trying to just put it so I don't break down because it's been life-changing for me. I've been able to spend more time with my wife, more time with my daughters, because I've been able to do more stuff at home. But the automation piece, I don't have to always travel to go do stuff. So I can be at home more, and I don't have to get dressed up. I can do it in sweatpants and a T-shirt and keep it moving. So I want to just thank you both. Thank you both. This anniversary celebration. Thank you for inviting me on the team. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for seeing value in what I do.
God bless. Thank you.
Here,
Let's give it up for Jerry.
All right, Jerry
Give it up
Franklin
for my man,
Poe.
Jerry.
Jerry Franklin Poe.
So fantastic. So Shay, once again, man, we appreciate what you did today, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank those of you that I know that you just sort of felt like in the moment you wanted to share your testimony, and we thank you for that. And so I'm just going to ask you one more time, Shay, to really just close us out, man. Whatever's on your heart right now, man, I'm just going to pass it to you.
Sure. So I'll say a couple things. One, I'll say this: thank you for listening, for those that were watching. Thank you for all the support. And as we close out, just remember that the best is yet to come, that your past doesn't represent the future, and no matter where you are today, when someone reminds you of your past, you remind them of the future and where you're going. So with that being said, thank you. Love you all. And my mom, who's always watching, she kept saying, Shay, you've got to tell him. My mom was a preacher, you got to tell him. Mom, I'm never telling him. Never, never. So it's for you as well, Mother dear. Love you. Mwah. Thank you. That's it.
All right, give it up for Shay Brown. Get to your feet, Shay Brown. Shay Brown, Shay Brown. That's what I'm talking about. Very good. Come on. Did y'all hear what he said? He said, yesterday Yesterday is a canceled check. Tomorrow is a promissory note, and today is some usable currency. So right here is the time to do what you need to do.